What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news related to Season 6. So of course this dropped just yesterday. It's been a pretty busy one. We've got plenty of new content in the game to talk about, and in this video specifically, I wanted to talk about some of the new loot in Season 6, some of the upgradable armor sets. We're also going to talk about the Allegiance quest, what that is going to entail, and how we may be picking between two sides, what some of the rewards for this are going to be. We'll also talk about Invitations of the Nine, and a new activity called Mystery and Potential, a hidden exotic weapon that's coming up, new exotic quests, the Revelry event, PvP changes, and a bunch of other stuff to talk about in this video, guys. So if you enjoy this one, a rating below very much helps me out, but now let's get straight into it. First up, yesterday, I made a video talking about some of the new exotics that we're seeing inside of Season 6. Of course, we've got the returning Thorn, we've got the Arbalest, a new kinetic linear fusion rifle. Interestingly, in the database, this one is currently listed as dropping from exotic engrams, but it looks like that might be a bug, and this is probably some kind of quest exotic or something that we'll unlock later on. Of course, there are some new exotic armor pieces as well. Certainly some pretty interesting stuff. Let me know your thoughts about them. But you may have jumped into Gambit Prime to look at some of the new armor pieces. Of course, right now, we're only able to access Tier 1 armor, and if you've continued to progress with the Drifter, you'll actually have unlocked the weekly bounty, and this will award an upgraded synthesizer. So basically, this synthesizer will be able to reward the Tier 2 pieces of Gambit Prime armor. However, if you do actually unlock this in the moment, you won't be able to produce any of the Tier 2 pieces because it actually requires Tier 2 Reckoning as well, and that doesn't launch until Friday this week. So just a quick note about that, and it may be worth actually saving some of your synths if you want to go for the Tier 2 armor, because you actually need to put 2 synths into the synthesizer whenever you go for a single Tier 2 piece of gear. And we can see what those sets are very briefly right here. This is the Titan Invader set. So initially you have the Illicit set of armor. The Tier 2 stuff is called Outlawed armor, and this will be available via the upgraded synthesizer once Tier 2 Reckoning rolls around. And then we've got the Notorious Invader set, and this will be the Tier 3 armor set. And of course, this won't be available until Tier 3 of the Reckoning is available, and that'll be next week. It's a pretty interesting way to do this, because of course, if you plan to go for the higher tier pieces of armor, then it actually makes a lot of sense to keep getting the synths dropped, and actually hold on to them for now until we get those higher tiers available. There is the new title in the game called Reckoner, and of course there are a bunch of different things you need to do in Gambit Prime, but one of the big things here will actually be completing the badge, where you need to collect every single different class set for Gambit. Have fun with the grind if you're going for that one. But I'll keep you posted on Gambit related stuff. I'll perhaps give some thoughts or feedback about this one in a separate video, but let me know your thoughts about Gambit Prime and how that experience has been for you guys so far. Moving on, one of the big things that we're looking forward to in this season will be the Allegiance quest. Now, we have a few details about this right here. We don't currently have any major spoilers as to what the rewards are going to be, although we do have a little bit of a hint. So firstly, we have Stand with the Drifter. Turn your back on the Vanguard to stand with the Drifter. This decision has consequences. This character will experience different quest content and receive different rewards than characters who stand with the Vanguard. The Drifter will remember your choice, and this character will not have complete access to the Warlock Orna lorebook, and this choice may impact future content for this character. And then to stand with the Vanguard, of course we get the same warnings, but the character will get complete access to that new lorebook. Now depending on which side you choose, there are a ton of different steps. So for the Drifter quest, there are actually 11 different steps. You'll have to meet with the Spider, do a little bit of stuff for him. It will also include a little bit of Gambit and Gambit Prime. We can see that the Drifter will be leaving a series of personal secret messages for us, and we can see from Show Your Strength, the Drifter is concerned that his old enemy Shin Malfur is roaming the EDZ. However, on the other side of that, the investigation for the Vanguard will actually have us digging up some dirt on the Drifter. We can see the Prime Research step actually has us spying on the Drifter, and once again will also actually require a little bit of Gambit Prime. So interesting stuff. These quests look like they're actually going to be a little bit of a grind and may take some time to complete. Now in terms of the reward, we will get a loyalty package for either the Drifter, so the crew loyalty package, or for the Vanguard, which will be the Praxic loyalty package. But in terms of what the reward will be, it's not actually something that we can see right now, so it is more or less a complete mystery outside of the fact that we will be rewarded with this package. However, the one thing that I would point out here is that Thorn has a completely separate quest to anything related to the Allegiance, or at least that is what we can tell right now looking in the database. So it doesn't appear that there will be a kind of Thorn versus Rose versus whatever else battle going on here, or at least that is what the database is telling us. So I'm curious, what do you guys think the reward could be for the Allegiance quests? Either way, definitely bear in mind there's going to be a bit of a grind when it comes to completing these ones. But there are the invitations of the 9 as well. These are going to begin rolling out next week on Xur's visit, and it'll actually start out as a bounty that you pick up from Xur. You'll need to complete an objective, and it will reward this, an invitation of the 9, a legendary item called Into the Unknown. Enter the activity, mystery, and potential via the Gambit Director to rendezvous with the emissary of the 9. And if we look at mystery and potential, the description reads, the derelict is vast, the hall is unknowable, take time to examine your surroundings. So when you accept the invitations of the 9, we'll actually go back onto the derelict, of course the drifter ship, and this is where this stuff's going to take place. So this gives us an extra bit of confirmation. Of course, initially it will start out with that Xur bounty, but then it will turn into this kind of token that allows us onto the derelict to meet with the emissary of the 9. And so it does behave in a pretty similar way to something like Queen's Court. And I'm sure while we're there, we can expect a ton of lore, learn more about who the emissary of the 9 is, and of course, potentially receive some pretty cool rewards from that as well. So I'll be sure to keep you guys posted. Once again, we get the first Xur visit this week on Friday, and Xur now has the potential to sell Year 2 exotics, so I guess we'll wait and see on Friday what he's going to turn up with. But next week on his following visit, this is where the invitations of the 9 will actually begin. Now though, let's talk once again about exotics, some quest stuff, and potential secrets. So first up, yesterday I spoke about exotics, actually made a mistake and pointed out a hidden heavy exotic, which for me is the Anarchy. I'd actually got this one confused at the time with a classified kinetic exotic. Now this one isn't visible in the game, but if you look at the collections in a database or something, you'll see that there is a classified unknown primary kinetic weapon. And that is separate from the Arbalest, of course, the new fusion rifle, and the Thorn. So it does indeed appear that there will be an additional primary kinetic, and this is probably going to be the free exotic quest that Bungie put on the roadmap. Of course, we know about Thorn, that one's linked to Annual Pass. We know about Arbalest and the other exotic drops in the moment, so if you're wondering about the free exotic quest, it's looking pretty likely that it is going to be for a kinetic weapon right here. And of course, we've heard about various different things, folks have speculated about the Rose, and on the 9 leaked that was supposed to come back into the game in Penumbra, as well as the Hawkmoon, which he referred to as another bird that we love. Now, some folks think that could also potentially be Bad Juju. So those 3 exotics are probably pretty likely to drop from this, to be honest. I don't know, if I had to place a bet, I'd say Bad Juju, simply because of this kind of story of Weapons of Sorrow that we've seen, but of course it could be any number of things. I would anticipate though that it's probably a returning exotic if it's a free exotic quest, but once again, let me know your thoughts, we'll have to wait and find out. Of course, the other returning exotic that we know of is the Thorn. Now the quest for this is called Independent Study, and the first step is called A Melted Hunk of Metal. The final line of that step reads, bring the ruined Thorn to Banshee 44 in the tower. He's going to ask us to gather 50 essence. This will actually be Hadronic Essence, acquired by completing bounties for Ashamir. Oh man, the throwback to those old Warlock materials. The next step though will be the Steel, to collect Plasteel Plating, the old Titan material. And for this we'll need to defeat Titans in the Crucible. Once again you'll need 50 of those. And then there is the Binding to collect Sapphire Wire, and once again we'll need 50. The next step is called Weaponize the Unknown. It's time to jump back into the Crucible, defeat Guardians using Void Energy or hand cannons. You need to amass 500 connection strength, but they do say precision streaks using Void hand cannons grant the most efficient progress. Also note that that progress is multiplied in the Iron Banner or in the competitive Crucible playlist, so there will be ways to actually do that a little bit quicker, and it doesn't appear that you'll lose anything upon death. Then you'll need to visit Tyrakan, and we'll actually go on a special version of the Savathun Song Strike, and inside of this strike we'll need to defeat the Arbiters, Sardav, and Telesh, and then defeat Savathun Song to ultimately finish acquiring the Thorn in Destiny 2. So it's going to be a bit of a grind right there. Definitely some pretty cool throwbacks collecting those old materials for Guardian classes from Destiny 1, but as you can see from these steps, it doesn't appear that this one is remotely linked to the Allegiance quest, so once again, I think that is going to be a very separate thing. But let me know if you're going to be grinding for the new Thorn inside of Destiny 2. And once again, we got a better look at this one yesterday. Still coming with Mark of the Devourer, where rounds pierce targets and deal damage over time, but of course now the weapon leaves remnants behind, and when you pick these up, the Mark of the Devourer damage actually increases, and they will partially refill the magazine of the weapon, so pretty interesting stuff. Final couple of things right here. Bungie updated competitive Crucible. They say, we've deployed a change to Destiny 2 that will retune the amount of glory rank points gained and lost in the competitive Crucible playlist. Compared to previous seasons, glory gains and losses have been effectively doubled. Our goal in this change is to make the ranked playlist more inviting to a larger amount of players. This means more access to pinnacle weapons, higher ranks, and more people to compete against at those higher ranks. It's a pretty interesting change right there. Potentially, this could actually make it a little bit easier, especially at some of the kind of medium ranks up to around about 2100. But of course, we'll have to see how it plays out in the game. If you are jumping into competitive stuff though, it's definitely going to make the experience somewhat different. Only other mention right here would be for the Revelry event, and this is coming up a little bit later on in the season. And it turns out that we will be revisiting the Infinite Forest in some formats. We've got the Verdant Forest, a new matchmaking enabled activity, and this event's also going to come with a Jubilant Engram. You can see right here it actually houses a bunch of the new armor pieces for this event as well. So just a quick shout out to that one. Of course, we'll have to see what the objectives and things are behind the event, but otherwise it looks like we've got a fair amount of stuff to keep up with in Season 6 before that happens. So for today, guys, that is going to summarize the video. Let me know your thoughts on any of the stuff we've spoken about, your speculation about the Allegiance quest, or who you're planning to side with. I'd love to hear your thoughts about what that hidden exotic could be. Definitely, I would bet that it's going to be linked to the free exotic quest, and so that probably confirms it as a kinetic exotic going in the primary slot. Let me know your thoughts about that, Gambit Prime, or what's coming up in the Derelict in those invitations of the 9. But if you have enjoyed the video, guys, a rating below really helps me out. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe to see more Destiny 2 content. But otherwise, as always, I appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you have an awesome day.